Good morning and welcome to Magic Modena. I thought today, since we're in lockdown, we're not driving much, we can't get out and the weather's pretty poor, we'd have a little look round, a detailed look round the interior of my Modena 360. Now if I tell you, it looks like it's actually like a kid's toy in its packaging. And I think when you first think about, as a kid, when you see a supercar or something a bit special, what is the first thing you do? The first thing you do is you wander up to it and you try and have a look inside. Obviously a bit difficult now it's in the bubble, so we'll fix that. But that's the first thing you do. You put your hand up to the glass, trying not to put fingerprints on it, and you try and work out what's going on inside. And of course you also want to look at the engine on these cars because they've got their incredible glass covers. So today I'm going to jump inside the 360. I'm going to have a good look round. So here we are inside the Modena 360, and what should we start with? Well, I think the first thing to say is I love this colour scheme. I waited a long time to get this. I know there's lots of people that I follow, and you have other Modenas that have the black interior or they have the Kramer. I am, I've got to be honest, not a fan of either of those, and I love the contrast of the black on tan that we have in this car. So that's probably the first thing to say. And there is a lot of it. There is leather absolutely everywhere, and hopefully you can see the lovely view in the back there. So that's the first thing to say. I think next I'd say when you're in this car, you know, everyone's childhood dream to be sat in the cockpit and be exposed to just having that very simple emblem right there. The steering wheel, really simple, no buttons except for the horn, and you know, a driver's car as they used to be in those days. And it sits very comfortably, like when your hands are on, you know, in this position, really comfortable. All of your dials right there, rev counter front and center, which I love. You know, speedo bit by the by over there, no one's looking at that. And then the various temperatures for the oil and water and so on. So, you know, everything you want. And then, you know, in actual fact, they do splash a tiny bit of electronics. If I go down here, I'll turn it on in a minute, but a kind of really outdated fuel gauge, which is a bit hit and miss, I think, for many people. But in this, you know, instance, I think if you're buying, one of the things to look out for is the leather condition. Up here, is it pulling on the stitching? Is it pulling around those fans? This one's in, I was lucky enough to get one that was in really good condition. Often on this panel here, the airbag panel, it can go off a bit. Mine is pretty good. It's looking, you know, it looks a little bit like it's got crinkled, but it's still in good nick. I've seen a lot worse. And then pretty much everything else is like crazy leather. The seats, these are the sort of standard comfort seats. I love the Daytona ones. I've seen people with the Daytona ones. I sort of would really like those. Bucket seats, sports seats, I don't know. I always think they look a bit aftermarket to be in one of these cars. I think these cars were designed to be like this, have these nice seats. And then, you know, behind here, actually good space. I know it doesn't look a lot, but by the time you get down to the bottom there, you know, you can put a bag behind there. You can put golf clubs behind there. I've put mine and my son's golf clubs behind there. And, you know, visibility is pretty good. One of the interesting things is if you see right at the back, it's got the Challenge grille. You can actually see through that grille and see the walls coming, or anything you might be banging into, which, you know, sometimes can be pretty useful. I think it's got a little net here just for bits and bobs, which again, I find pretty useful. I think the one thing in this sort of era of everyone drinking coffee and it being like all we ever seem to do nowadays, there is no cup holders of any sort. So obviously, you know, you want to drive these things rather than drink coffee, but occasionally on a road trip, you know, it is nice to have the coffee. And the best you can do is place it on this here, but obviously that's fine for a cruise. If you're on the motorway or something, it kind of works, but that's about it. What else? Lot of talk about the switches and the sticky switches. Now I did loads of research on this, and I know you can send them off. They just get sticky around here. You can send them off and get them done, but I've got to say I kind of did it myself. I used I think I just used like something pretty standard, like interior detailer. It just sort of rubbed away and it just came off. It's a bit tedious, and I suspect you can get them done really expertly. But these are, I think you can see they're in pretty good nick, and they were all sticky before, and I managed to do that. I did, however, replace this around here and the buttons. So I did replace those because they were really messy, and you know that was something that I wanted to do. So I would say before you rush to send all your switches off, just have a little go yourself, because I think most people would be able to do that. Everyone talking about the manual. Of course, we're talking about the manual. It is definitely a work of art. And this is actually the original gear knob. I bought a new one as well, which is super shiny and back to new, which you can get off the web. I'm trying to think where I got that from. I'll have a think and put it in the notes. But I've left the original on for now because I took this to a concours. Got silver actually, which I was quite pleased about first time out, and they tend to like the sort of more original things on there. But you know, it's nice and cold now because it's been in the garage. But that's obviously a joy to work with. We have the cigarette lighter down there, a good old cigarette ashtray. I love the fact there's an ashtray in there. Obviously you don't see that so much nowadays. And then if you pull this James Bond panel back, there's a couple of switches in there. One is for the petrol tank and one is for the boot, I think. I've forgotten myself now. Yeah, it's for the boot. Now the only, you know, few quirks here and there with this car. So at the petrol station, so often we're used to jumping out of the car, and in this car you have to open the petrol cap while the engine's on or the keys are in. So often I get out and I'm like, oh no, I've forgotten, go back, turn the engine on, and then click that. So you get used to jumping in and out twice to fuel up. And then in terms of, like, you know, switch gear and what there is, I'm just putting my keys down. Stereo's pretty good. I mean, who cares? But the stereo's pretty good. Windows haven't been a problem for me. All of these gauges, quite a nice, satisfying, simple, old-fashioned sort of twist of things. They've got this weird stop button, which is the air conditioning, which I never know is whether it's on or off. So I'm always playing around with that a little bit. But that's kind of it. You know, you've got a couple of switches down here for your wing mirrors and so on. And then over here, excuse my filming, over here we've got the sport button, which the all-important sport button. So it's not focusing in very well. But anyway, the sport button's down there. We've got fog lights, rear demister, which actually often I don't think I've ever used since I never take it out in that kind of, you know, weather. So, you know, that's most of the different buttons that you have down there. I love this badge that we started with, just nice. I'm afraid there's going to be loads of wires in here, but basically very simple very small, actually, glove compartment in there, and then two big pockets along the side, which actually can fit an awful lot in. So I love this space. It's got this little digital clock up here. Again, a bit of a throwback, but I love this space in here. You sit very nicely. You know, it does, the first time, if anyone has never sat in one of these things, the first time you get in is I don't know, it's quite an experience. You feel like you're in something special. You see this badge, and you know, you look over the back, and you know, you're like, oh my god, that is something special that I'm about to fire up. Now, I'm not going to start it today, but then, you know, you turn the engine on, all these lights come on and come to life, and I think any 360 owner does the same thing, which is like, please let the check engine light go off once we've started. That's important. And I'll show you the old-fashioned fuel gauge down here. Sorry, just down in that corner, full up since we're stuck in a garage. So you know, it just feels good when this starts up. We're actually in the bubble, so we're still in the bubble, so I'm not going to start it. But yeah, it feels good. And then pressing that alarm button for a little while and starting up is definitely a special experience. So I'm going to just turn that off for now. I cannot wait till I can get back on the road. I've got another month or two to do that. But I think, you know, you really miss it when you don't take it out. So I'm just going to pause there. Let's just step outside and we'll have a good look at the engine, and then we'll call it a day. So here we are, probably one of the most looked at parts of the car. If you have one, or you're lucky enough to buy one, it's one of the first places people gravitate to when you're pulled up somewhere, maybe in a petrol station or in a car park somewhere. They come looking, and to be putting that up very gently. So I've got the stock exhaust. Another lot of discussion around that, but I've decided I want to keep this all standard. And exhaust, which I've got another video on YouTube that I showed cleaning this up because it was really dirty before. And then then we have the beauty. That is the engine. Complete mystery to me. So many brave people on YouTube that are doing stuff to their cars that I wouldn't ever go near. I feel like I might get adventurous one day with the odd little thing out of necessity. I did find some really good stuff that was recommended to me for smartening up all the rubber. So it's not by any means as good as I've seen some of the real top concours one, but everything you can see is black. It's got a bit of dust on now, but pretty shiny. The sides are pretty shiny. So let me get a link for that as well, and I'll show you what stuff I used. But it was pretty easy. I haven't yet properly cleaned this car, and there's a few things I need to do to it. But you know, I could stare at this all day, and definitely when people come, they really want to look inside this and marvel at the design. So there we are. I'm sorry I'm not starting for you today, but I think I'm going to wait till I can properly drive it, close it down. Bit of a basic kind of clunk, and that's it. A winter's view of the Modena 360 in its bubble. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Bye.